Today, I'm going to be teaching you the simplest method to cut a corset bodysuit like a pro, even if you're a complete beginner. So grab your tape and pattern paper and let's get started. So first you draw your start line, okay, and then you mark your shoulder divided by 2, and on that point come down by 1 inch. Then you come in by 3 inches, which is the neck width we're going to be working with, and connect it to that 1 inch you came down by. And then from that shoulder slope, that's your shoulder slope now, from that shoulder slope you come down by your arms high or armhole length, which is usually your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Then on that line you mark your bust divided by 4 and square up a line. This is going to be your chest line. Then you divide that armhole length by 2, and from there you come in by 0.75, okay, and then you use your curved ruler to connect everything together. Now with this you formed your armhole. Now we're going to be drawing our vertical measurements. You're going to mark your bust point, you're going to mark your under bust, and then you're going to mark your half length. Okay, here I just marked my bust point and my under bust. I didn't remember to mark my half length, but when you're marking yours, mark your half length also. Then from your half length you're going to mark your crotch measurement. That is your waist to your crotch. If you don't know what your crotch measurement is, you sit down on a flat surface and then measure from your waist down to the surface of that your flat surface. That will give you your crotch that you use for trousers. Okay, then this is now that I remember to mark my half length. Okay, so I had to correct my crouch after this point. That's why it's good to use pattern to draw, draft your pattern, so that when there is any mistake you can easily correct it. Imagine I was cutting on the main fabric, I would have ruined the fabric. Okay, so follow this, mark your bust point, your under bust, your half length, and your crotch measurements. Okay, then from your crotch come down by 1 inch. That is your crotch extension that you're going to be using. All right, just follow everything I'm saying and you're going to get it right. Then from your half length you're going to come down by your corset length. So that's usually between 3.5 to 5.5. okay, your corset length is not supposed to be too long so that it's not be uncomfortable. Okay, corset is not meant to give you flat tummy. All right, so between 3.5 to 5 inches you determine what your corset length is supposed to be. That is measured from your half length down to your pelvic bone. That is where your corset length is supposed to be. Now for the waist, what I did was I minused the 2 inches I want to use for my waist snatching from my original waistline. My original waist circumference is 32. I removed the 2 inches and it became 30. So that 30 divided by 4 is what I marked now. And then I marked my hip circumference divided by 4, okay, on that crotch length, and I'll connect it to the half length. I'm so sorry for my voice, I'm a little under the weather, but if you can still hear me, please tell me in the comment section. I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, all right, on that crotch length you tilt your tape a little bit and connect and mark 4 inches diagonally. Okay, and then from at the crotch extension you come in by 1 inch and connect these lines. Okay, when you've connected it, it's going to look like you're making a pant curve around that crotch line. Okay, then from the center front at the chest line, bust point and under bust, I'm going to come in by half inch, and then I'm going to connect it. Okay, that's going to form your bust bridge because we're about to form the corset now. Then I'm going to place my tape 1.5 inch above the chest line. Okay, you can use 1 inch, you can use 1.5 depending on how covered you want your chest line, your cleavage to be, and you would measure that point all the way to your under bust. Whatever you get, you're going to bear that in mind. For me, I got 8.5. okay, so whatever you get, you're going to just write it down somewhere. That's going to be your corset length. Okay, now I introduced a fresh pattern paper and I marked a start line and then an adjacent line. That start line is going to be my center front, the adjacent line is going to be my under bust. Okay, now from that under bust you're going to mark that your corset length that you measured now. Okay, so for me I'm marking 8.5. okay, so I just marked it and then I'll square up that line. That's going to be like your start line for the cup. You understand? So that's your cup height. Then you're going to mark your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Okay, you're going to mark your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 and square up a line there. Okay, that's going to, you know, form your demarcation between the center front and center side front. Then you also mark that nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus 1. You understand? This side is plus 1. That's the side front. But the center front is just your nipple to nipple measurement. Okay. Then you will go back to your pattern paper and measure from the bust point to under bust. Whatever you have, you will come back to your cup and then mark from the under bust up to that bust point that you just measured. Okay. And you will square up that line also. So this is me correcting my line, making sure that it's, it is straight. That's why pattern drafting is very important. Okay, so this is just one of the ways I draft my cup. I have several ways of drafting a cup. On the underbust, you come out by 0.25 on both sides, and then on that cross, you're going to mark half inch on all the sides of the cross. Okay, I hope you get that half inch coming all the ways of the cross, you get. And then 1.25 on both sides of the underbust. I'll connect it to that half inch. Then on the corset length, I'll mark half inch on both sides of the corset length and I'll connect it to that half inch. You understand? Like, let's see what you're connecting not reach the cross point. You get that, right? Then on the side front, I'm going to be marking 1 inch on both sides. This is because this is a big cup. If you are making for a small cup, on this I'm going to just show you the measurement for the small cup on one side of the screen. Okay, so I will not confuse. This one is for deep, is for big cup. Okay, so I'm marking 1 inch on both sides of the cup. Or even if you have a small body but you also have a big bust, you can use this measurement. Now this, like I said, this is just one of the many ways I cut cup. Then on the center front, I marked half inch on both sides of the dart line, and then I connected it to that half inch, not reaching that cross point. Okay, I hope you see that now. All right, so on the chest line, I want to shape out the cup. So on the chest line, that is the start line, I'm going to mark 0.25 and I'm going to connect it to that half inch, okay, by the center front. I'll do the same thing for the side and connect it also. Okay, then at the CF, I'm going to come down by 1 inch or 0.75, depending on how you want it to be. And then on the SF, that is the side front, you're going to go up by half inch. Okay, this is going to give you fullness and it's going to make the corset come out very well. Like I said, this is just one of the ways I cut my cup, and this one ensures fullness. Okay, but then I have a corset masterclass that is currently running. I'm just going to post a little picture of what we're already doing in the class by one side of the screen. This cup that I'm going to be showing you is a game changer. It's called the perfect sculptured cup. All right, with this cup you can make for any size whatsoever, big or small, and it's going to be deep and it's going to be as covered as you want it to be. Okay, it's really a game changer. So if you have not registered for my corset masterclass, this is your cue to register for that class. Like I said, it's a paid class and you will have access to it for a lifetime because it's on Telegram. Okay, but then while we are on it, please watch the one that I'm doing right here. I'm teaching you for free. Okay, so if you follow it, you're also going to achieve a nice cup for your corsets. Okay, and then but if you're interested in that online class, just type I'm interested in the comment section and I'll share the link with you to the class. All right, okay, so what I did was to mark my nipple to nipple measurements from my center front, and I placed this cup that we have drafted and put together using sellotape, and then I'm covering it out with my hand to make sure that it's well rounded. Okay, remember, if you have any question, I really want you to understand this, so ask me any question you have in the comment section. I'll be there to answer you. Okay, so now that we've gotten our cup, the next thing we're going to be doing, we're almost done with this corset actually, because the cup is immense. So we're just going to be drafting the back and then I'll come back and correct my crotch line. Okay, so when you see me bring back the front, just know that I'm just trying to correct my crotch line. All right, so here you're going to mark your shoulder divided by 2, come down by 1 inch, come in by 3 inches for the neck width and connect, just the way we did for the front. And then you come down by your armhole length, which is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.2, okay, and square of the line. And then I'm going to connect that the straight line all the way down. Then you mark your bust divided by 4 and mark the half of that your corset your armhole length, and then you use your curved ruler and connect. You come down by half inch also, sorry, and use your curved ruler and connect. Then you're going to mark your half length, the same half length you use for the front. You're going to mark it, okay, and then you're going to mark your waist to crotch, just the way we did for the front. Okay, so you're going to mark your waist to crotch, and then you're going to square up that line. Okay, then from the crotch you're going to come down by 5 inches. Okay, so I'm just labeling it so you see what I'm doing. This is the chest line, this is the half length, and this is the crotch length. Okay, then from that crotch I'll come down by 5 inches. Okay, and mark. Okay, I'm going to square up that line just the way we did for the front, and then that's your crotch extension. The crotch extension for the front was just 1 inch, but for the back it is 5 inches, because of course your back, your bum is bigger than your front. Okay, then on the half length I'm going to mark that my waist, that my snatched waist, that is my waist minus what I want to use for my waist snatching, divided by 4. Okay, and then I'm going to come down by the corset length I use for the front. All right, so whatever you use as your corset length for the front, you're going to come down with it at the back. Okay, and then there I'm going to mark my hip divided by 4, just the way we did for the front. Okay, so I'm just taking the measurements from my front because I'm drafting in the same pattern paper. All right, that makes it easier for me. So I just take my hip divided by 4 and I'll connect it to that waist, that my half length. Okay, then I'll tilt my tape again, but this time around I'm going to come in by 6 inches. Okay, and then at the crotch extension I also came in by 1 inch. Okay, and then I'm going to connect everything using a curved ruler or your free hand, because this curved ruler set that I used was a struggle. Okay, but I just like working with my curved ruler. It gives me the best results. All right, so you can use your free hand for this side, you can use your curved ruler, whatever works with you is very fine. Just make sure that what you're achieving is looking like a panty. That down part will look like you're wearing a pants, so let it just have that panty shape. That's all. All right, so with that done, we are almost done with this corset. Okay, so in case you want to use the yoke, I'm just going to draft the yoke. So for the yoke I came down by 1 inch for the neck depth, and then I connected it all the way to the chest line just using my curved ruler, no measurements. Okay, or you can measure yours if you want. Then I took out ½ inch to avoid gaping, especially if you're working with a sheer fabric or a net. Then I came down by ½ inch at the chest line. If you're working with a yoke especially, make sure you come down by ½ inch on the chest line, that's at the side. Then at the center back I came down by 1 inch and formed the neckline I want to be working with. Okay, then I came in, now pay attention, at the chest line I came in by 1.5 inch from the center back. Then from the corset length I came in by ½ inch. You see that now? So you come in by 1.5 inch at your chest line. At the corset length you come in by ½ inch, and then as you're connecting it all the way to the crotch extension, you should connect it all the way to nothing. That is all the way to 0. I don't know how to explain this, but just watch what I'm doing. It's usually called all the way to nothing. Okay, that's how I teach it. All right, so then you bring in your front pattern paper again, and then you come down. Remember we came down by ½ inch for the back, so you come down by that ½ inch also and connect it to the cup. You see that? Now I'm just squaring up the lines that I'm going to use for the boning, just to make it look good, not because I'm going to cut it out. Don't cut out your don't pieces your fabric especially if you are doing a dartless, corset. Just rule out the lines and let it be your guide when you are placing your bone. With that, we are actually done with this corset. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give this video a thumbs up and share it with other fashion designers, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.